Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 27th, 2012 Raleigh Board of Selectmen. To remind everybody that this meeting is being audio-taped and videotaped. I'll call the meeting to order. And first one is Pledge of Allegiance. And Jack, will you lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jack.
Welcome.
Okay. Tonight, Citizens Query will be from 7:05 until 7:15. I have no comments, no chairman's comments tonight. Our first appointment will be at 7:15. Dan B. Whitmore to discuss the relicensing of Seabrook Power Plant, 7:30 at joint meeting. Board of Cemetery Commissioners to discuss the cemetery fence bid results. 7:45 an appointment Chief Barker to discuss the new police department radios. So with that, why don't we go right into general business. Okay. General business. The appointment of Robert Cianfrocco and Elizabeth Jones to the Historic Commission and Historic District Commission. Robert Cianfrocco and Elizabeth Jones have submitted letters expressing an interest in serving on the Historic District Commission, Historical Commission. Both Mr. Cianfrocco and Ms. Jones would like to be appointed to a one-year term caused by the recent resignation of Richard Cummings and Sally Schwartz. Attached are letters from Mr. Cianfrocco and Ms. Jones and Chair Sarah Bork. Dear members of the Raleigh Board of Selectmen, the Raleigh Historic Commission would like you to appoint Robert Cianfrocco as a full-time member of the Commission. Mr. Cianfrocco will be taking a one-year seat position that was held by former member Dick Cummings. Please make his appointment June 30th, 2013. Thank you, Sarah Bork, Raleigh Historic Commission. And I have a letter here from Mr. Cianfrocco. Dear Honorable Selectmen, I, Robert Cianfrocco, am very much looking forward to serving as a full-time board member on the Raleigh Historic District Commission. I bring to the board a passion and great knowledge for the local history of Raleigh. Thank you, Robert Cianfrocco. Also, I have an email here dated August 22nd. Dear Honorable Selectmen, I, Libby Jones, am very much looking forward to serving as a full-time board member on the Raleigh Historic District Commission. I bring to the board a passion and great knowledge for local history of Raleigh. Thank you, Libby Jones. So, with that,
Mr. Chairman, there's another letter from the Historic District Commission supporting the appointment of Ms. Jones.
Yes, I did that one.
No, you did.
Well,
there's two separate letters from the Historic District Commission.
Yeah, there's one for Libby Jones.
Okay. That was the first one I read.
Okay.
Okay, I read.
They might be out of sequence in the package.
Okay, I read that. I'll read it again.
There's one for Robert Cianfrocco and there's one for Libby Jones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's this one here for Libby Jones.
Oh, okay, I don't have that one.
From the commission.
Okay. Dear members of the Raleigh Board of Selectmen, the Raleigh Historic Commission would like you to appoint Libby Jones to the commission. Ms. Jones will be taking the one-year seat position that was held by the former member Sally Schwartz. Please make her appointment June 30th, 2013. Okay, now we're clicking.
Okay.
All right. So, any discussion from the board? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Robert Cianfrocca and Elizabeth Jones until through June 2013.
Okay.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, moving on to general business 2. Letter from the planning board, appointment of town planner Katrina O'Leary to the zoning review committee. The zoning review committee is made up of Selectmen Robert Murray, building inspector Representative Ken Ward, planning board reps Cliff Pierce, David Jackworth, zoning board reps Don Thurston and Tom Heidegard. Planning board is requesting the appointment of the town planner to this committee. Dear Honorable Board, at the August 8, 2012 meeting, the planning board members unanimously voted to recommend the Board of Selectmen that Katrina O'Leary be appointed as town planner to the zoning review committee. Please feel free to contact the planning board office if you should have any questions. Sincerely, Kurt Bryant. Okay, looking at this, I think that our board should look at this again. I'm looking at the committee, the way it's going to be weighted, and I think what the purpose that we did of putting the board together was try to give it equal weight. So I'm just looking with the town planner, I'm just saying it may be weighted a little bit too much in the direction of planning.
Okay, one thing they admitted from that was that it would be as a secretarial position rather than a voting member. The planner will not be a voting member.
The planning will not be a voting member.
It's more of a
Okay.
secretary to kind of coordinate the meetings.
Okay.
And keep track of the different zoning
Oh,
requirements. and
okay.
things.
I was under the impression that it
Yeah,
was...
and actually when she was with the building inspector, she held that same position
Okay.
as a non-voting member.
Okay.
All right, the letter isn't clear, though.
It isn't.
Okay.
They forgot that.
All right, I was, when I read it, a little bit confused. So, well, that clears it up. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Okay, now that we have that cleared up, any other discussion? Any comments? Do I have a motion from the board?
I'll make that. Go ahead, please, me.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, Katrina O'Leary, town planner, is on the zoning review committee.
Could you just clarify then, that would be as a
As
non-voting
as a
member?
non-voting,
Is that the board's?
Yes,
as a
non-voting.
non-voting member. As Bob cleared that up. Thank you, Bob. Okay. Okay. Letter from the Board of Library Trustees, Chair Janet Peabody, reference to vacancy on board. Board of Library Trustees has notified the Board of Selectmen that David Masha has resigned from the Board of Library Trustees. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 11, the Board of Selectmen needs to vote to post a vacant seat during the September 10th, 2000. During the September 10th, 2012 meeting, the Board of Selectmen will vote to appoint an individual to the vacant seat for a term that will run until next election.
Isn't that a joint meeting for the library board? When you appoint, don't they have,
Well, not if the board has, within 30 days, must notify the Board of Selectmen that a vacancy exists. And then, in accordance with Chapter 41, Section 11, if the 30-day period goes by, the statute says the Board of Selectmen shall make that appointment. So I think what the intent of Chairman Snow is to have the library board chair come in during that meeting, but the selectmen have to vote if the 30-day period have gone by. It's not a joint meeting. But there are some other vacancies, I think, that have coming up that I know the library board will be sending a notice within that 30-day period. So we may be having another meeting the following week, and that would probably be a joint meeting with the library board. They just got notified today, so they just haven't had a chance to write that memo to the selectmen yet.
Okay, I have a letter here from David Nasher. Dear trustees and director, it has been a joy, honor, and pleasure to serve with you as a member of the trustees of the Raleigh Public Library. Sadly, I must submit this letter of resignation from the board effective July 15, 2012, because of family obligations and new work hours. I will not be able to commit the time I feel needed to be an effective member with a full and very competent board. I believe the time is right to make my exit. If I can be of any assistance during the transition, please let me know. I would be glad to help however I can. Respectively, David J. Nasher.
Yeah, basically, see, we were actually over the 30-day limit, according to the dates on this resignation letter. So it does become the Board of Selectmen that needs to make the appointment, and it's not a joint meeting. Once the 30 days lapse.
And I had conversations with Janet,
You had
Ebony, the
conversations
chair,
with
so
Janet.
she understands that. So I'll post a notice, and then at the next meeting, if you want to fill that,
We need
There
to
are-
vote to post the notice, correct?
yes, please.
Have a motion from the board to post notice of vacancy.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Oh, you can, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Let's see, it's about 7:13. We have a few more minutes here for our first appointment. Okay, let's see. General business number 4, request from Raleigh Cub Scout Pack 15 to use the town common for annual popcorn fundraiser and to hang a banner on the backstop. Raleigh Cub Scouts would like to use the town common on Sunday, October 7th, 2012, from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. for their annual popcorn fundraiser. They have also requested permission to hang their fundraiser sign on the backstop on the common from the start of the fundraiser on October 7th, and to remove it on or before November 10th. Megan Merrill resolving any issues that may. Megan Merrill will be responsible for securing and removing the sign to the backstop and resolving any issues that may arise. We have Megan's contact information. Okay. There were no questions or concerns from the police department, fire department, coordinator, health services, highways, surveyor, parks and recreation committee on these requests. So, any questions from the board? Any comments from the board?
I'll make a motion that we grant the Raleigh Cub Scout Pack 15 to use the town common for the annual popcorn fundraiser and to hang a banner on the backstop.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
About 30 more seconds. So. Let's see. Okay. Well, I think we got. Thanks, Bob. Okay, it's 7:15. Citizen query is now over. And so we move on to our appointment, and we have Danby Whitmore, and she's discussed relicensing. It's stuck tonight. of the Seabrook Power Plant. So with that, Jamie, could you come down, please, and sit here?
Sit here?
Yes, right there.
Okay.
It was all reserved for you.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about this since last April, because the Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant had asked to be licensed 20 years ahead of when it's supposed to be being relicensed, and there's a number of issues. And towns in this area have all been writing to the NRC and making known that they're not happy with that because there are a number of issues. I understand that I think this month the NRC was given a court order that they cannot relicense until the spent fuel rod issue is resolved. They can't they need a plan for that, but then once a plan is given for that, then there's still these other issues on the table. And so what I wanted Rowley to join the surrounding communities and basically state that we as a community do not want to be put in a position of a Fukushima because of Seabrook not taking care of the safety problems that they have. They have cement that is degrading, is not, they have groundwater issues, and those are not being addressed at all yet still. And as I'm sure you've heard in the news, there's been a number of instances throughout the spring where there have been minor things and they just haven't been able to respond to very small issues. None of their systems for alarms or anything have worked. So it's a major issue that I think it would be really good for our town to be involved in, because we are very close. I know from Fukushima that 10 miles is nothing. And even if they have the spent fuel rod thing done, I don't think those will be, all they have to do is get a plan. They don't have to really do anything about it. And I just don't see any reason that something should be licensed ahead of time, relicensed, when they have so many issues sitting there. And it's kind of scary. And I see our government, our community as protecting the citizens. And so that's why I'm asking that you be involved in this. And I've made copies of the stuff the thing that City of Newburyport did. So this is the resolution that they did. And then there's letters there too that that different representatives have sent into the NRC in this area. And then these are articles from the local newspapers that actually do a very good job in saying exactly what the NRC is looking at. So
Thank you.
that is basically what I wanted to.
Do you have anything from? No,
Oh,
please
sorry.
sit down. Do you have anything from the NRC itself stating the
no,
problems?
you know what? I had it all, and we had a few little emergencies around my house in the last day or so, and I did not was not able to find those, but I can get those for you because they're right online. It's a 770-page report, but you can get you can get the pieces of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have the highlight-
It is online.
The highlighted
Yeah.
portion. Okay.
Yes.
Were there other towns in the area that?
The town, yep.
Newbury
Newburyport, West Newbury has done it. Merrimack, I believe, has. I'm not sure what Ipswich is doing. I think they're in the midst of putting something together.
Did they have reports too? They have the NRC reports in the other towns?
I believe they do. Yes.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was contacted because I had written an article in the newspaper back in the spring by a group, and they said, you know what, if you live in Rowley, could you just present this to these people and see if they would join us? in making our concerns known to the NRC.
Yeah, I think we need to look at the NRC report and,
Yeah.
and read that before we make a
Yeah,
decision.
the newspaper articles are good because they do have the direct quotes from the
Okay.
NRC report, so that's why I just printed them off quick,
I just-
because that's easy.
How's the board feel? Do you have any comments?
Well, at this point, I'm probably going to recuse myself, only because I am a commissioner at the local electric plant.
Oh, okay.
Well, from the reports that I've read in the paper, that I think there are serious issues with the plant that the NRC hasn't done anything about, and I don't think that Seabrook has taken steps to correct their problems with the plant. I think we should be concerned about it.
I mean, I look at the Fukushima tragedy, and, they did get hit with a 50-foot tidal wave,
Right.
and they had the seawall was only constructed for 30, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then, there's a lot of issues.
We haven't gotten a hurricane since that plant was built. We've had no hurricanes.
We had Bob. Remember
That-
Bob back in '89?
That was a very small hurricane. Wasn't it a Category 1? Was it even a Category 1? It was 70.
It was a hurricane. It was probably,
70 mile per hour winds, I think. I remember it being because I'm an insurance broker,
oh, okay.
so I remember it being just under the wire in terms of a hurricane.
Well,
but I mean,
think-
we haven't been hit by anything. I mean, we've been so lucky in this whole area, weather-wise, compared to everywhere else in the world, it seems like. But we can't press
I'd
our
like to
luck.
read the NRC report before, and I think that we'd like to just
I think
get some
so.
background on it before we,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
write anything up.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we'll take this under advisement. All right,
Okay.
David?
Yep.
All right, I mean,
Great.
just want to be fair, look at the whole picture and,
Oh,
Take
definitely.
this
I mean, that's what you should do.
yeah, I mean, that's what you get paid for.
That's right, exactly.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for coming.
So-
Do you have anything else?
That is it.
That's it?
I
Okay.
just, yeah. if you-
So the board feel comfortable taking this under advisement? Okay, so we'll take this under advisement and we'll get back to you.
Great.
Okay. All right, thank you, David. Thanks for coming in.
Yep, thanks.
I'll put this separate in the folder so we can keep the record. They'll all be together. Okay, it is 7:24. We'll move on to general business number 5. Get my paperwork correct here. Okay. General business number 5, letter request from Library Director Pam Jacobson to lift the hiring freeze. Dear sirs, I am writing it to request that you lift the hiring freeze in order to allow the library to hire 2 substitute pages. The substitute pages will fill in when our regular pages are ill or have scheduling conflicts or family emergency. It is a big help to have extra trained personnel on standby, as we have safety regulations and requires us to have 2 staff members in the library whenever it is open. If we had to call in library technician to cover library paid shifts, we would go over budget on our payroll. However, our current substitute pages had an injury and has been unable to work, and another will become a page when one of our regular pages moves away and starts college this fall. 3 substitute pages is an optimal number to have available for on calls. So request the opportunity to hire 2 more. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Sincerely, Pam Jacobson, Library Director. Any discussion from the board? Any comments? Do I have a motion from the board?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. Okay. Okay, general business number 6, award contract personnel study. Personnel study contract, personnel board has voted to recommend that Human Resource Services Incorporated be awarded the personnel study contract. I solicited 3 firms for a price in response to request for price quotation for the personnel study. 2 firms responded: Human Resources Partners, LLC, Scarborough, Maine, in the amount of $9,900. Human Resources Services Incorporated of Andover, Mass, in the amount of $7,000. The Personnel Board requests the Board of Selectmen to award personnel study contract to Human Resources Incorporated in the amount of $7,000 and sign the attached contract. Discussion from the board? Comments?
This report is going to be due, was it November 16th?
November
Final,
6th.
a final draft,
November
final
6th.
version.
Everybody
We check
comfortable?
these at all? Yeah, these are 2 companies. I mean, if you check the the one out of Andover, a
Yes,
reference.
yes, these are
Everything
requests for
goes back.
price quote, yes.
Yeah.
Any comments? Anything else?
Look at the contract, seems to have the standard language.
Yeah.
No, that's our contract, this one I wrote, so
Right.
it's not from the vendor.
No wonder it's so good.
It's biased to the town.
I'll make a motion. I'll make
Okay.
a motion, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
that we recommend the Human Resource Services, Inc. of Andover, Mass. in the amount of $7,000.
Thanks, Jack. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we all have to sign it, Deb, or just the?
The chairman can, or, you can all just sign right underneath Bob's name,
Okay.
Bob Stowe's name, on the right side. That's his tongue.
You realize what that means?
What?
We're all on the hook for it,
That's right.
instead of just you.
I'm always on the hook.
So you wanna sign that?
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't want to sign.
You have to. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, John. Okay, we'll have about a half minute before 7:30 appointment. So I'll try to talk as much as I possibly can, eat up those 30 seconds. Bill, why don't you come on down?
Hi, Bill.
Bill?
Okay. Let me dig out my paperwork here. Okay. It is now 7:30. We have a joint meeting with the Board of Cemetery Commissioners to discuss cemetery fence bid results. Okay, we have to call them joint meeting. So Jack, you wanna joint
I
meeting?
can set either way.
So if it's a joint meeting, you may want to sit as the cemetery commissioner.
I'll excuse myself from the selectmen and stuff. Bill?
Jack sits on both the cemetery and the board of selectmen, so that's the reason for Jack to go over it and sit with the cemetery commission. Okay, so, do I have a motion to, call for a joint meeting to order for the cemetery board and the board of selectmen?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor with a roll call vote?
Bill Gaynor, aye.
Jack Cook, aye.
Joe Perry, aye.
Robert Snow, aye.
Bob Mary, aye.
Stu Dalzell, aye.
Okay, we are now in joint meeting. Okay. This is in reference to the historic cemetery fence repair and restoration project. 2 bids were received in response to an invitation of bids for the historic cemetery fence repair and restoration project. Cassidy Brothers Forge Incorporated submitted a bid for $91,900. DeAngelis Iron Works submitted a bid for $79,700. The low bidder, DeAngelis Iron Works, is not eligible bidder because they did not attend a mandatory pre-bid meeting. Cassidy Brothers Forge Incorporated is not a responsible bidder because the price exceeds the project budget. The Board of Cemetery Commissioners met last week to discuss the bid results and voted to reject all bids because it is in the town's best interest to do so. The Board of Cemetery Commissioners has decided to rebid this project. Attached is the Board of Cemetery Commissioners' letters to you informing you of this action. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote to reject all bids because it is in the town's best interest to do so and to reissue the invitation for bids. IFB. Okay. Okay, from the Cemetery Commissioners to the Town of Raleigh Selectmen. The Cemetery Commissioners voted on Thursday, August 23rd, to reject all bids for cemetery fence project in the interest of the Town of Raleigh. First applicant was disqualified for overbidding. Second applicant did not attend mandatory pre-bid meeting. We would like to put this project out for rebid. Jack Cook, Peter Dalzell, and Bill Gaynor. So, with that,
Well, we feel that we have somebody who was here for the pre-bid meeting, but he never even submitted a bid. So it might give him another chance. There's a big difference. There's a $13,000 difference between the two companies that we spoke of in the letter here. We feel that the best interest for the town is that we put it out for rebid. It's only going to put us back probably a month behind schedule, at the most. I mean, we had all the paperwork's all made up, and I think it's just a process of, putting it back out in the central ledger and all. And I'm not really sure, is that correct?
Yeah, so we just need to get those timeframes and then adhere to the legal timeframes for advertising and notice. And then if there's a decision by the cemetery board to have another required mandatory meeting, then we would factor that time frame in so that there's enough time between the mandatory meeting and the due date for bids. So as soon as you give us some guidance on what you'd like for some timeframes, we can work with that and get the advertising and notices done.
That was one of our questions, is a mandatory meeting necessary? Is that the policy is how you go about bidding?
No, it's completely within the discretion of the cemetery board. I think in the beginning on phase 1 of the repair and the restoration of the cemetery, it was decided that was in the best interest of the cemetery board to have bidders actually come out here and look at the fence, and actually we had examples of the broken pieces and what the work required in order to restore that fence to the state that it previously was before the accident. So it's completely up to the cemetery board, you know, if you want to do this again and have that required informational meeting or not.
Well, I think if we, excuse me, DeAngelis company did not attend the pre-bid. Now, I don't know, Bill, what you think of opening up to have them come out again?
Yeah, well, I would think, let's do the
I think
pre-bid,
that's
start, do
the best thing, and then
process.
that way,
Yeah.
because he bid and he didn't attend.
Mm.
So I think at this point, he should attend the new, I mean, that gives a chance to make sure they're out there and look at it. They say they were here, but they wasn't here at the day of the, you know, discussion of what the bid composed of out there.
Right.
I think it's the best interest for us, the town, that they, you know, show up. I mean, there's a lot of money here involved. You know, it's not a few thousand like we had the other project. And I think the whole picture is that we have the pre-bid and then go from there and set, right here, we,
Yeah, then we could answer any
yeah,
questions. that
right here, there will be a mandatory
Yes.
as you got it on here,
Yeah,
Debbie,
I mean, it
think.
was certainly highlighted in the
Yeah.
legal notice we placed. So we would just need to discuss a date if that was something that we could defer to with either, you know, at another point in time, if the boards would agree to have Bill set up that time with us. We can do that. It's beneficial to have the meeting, so there's a free exchange of questions and answers, and all bidders are on the same level playing field to hear the answers that are given to the different questions that come up from the bidders. They also, if they're not from the area, they have the ability to come and see the fence and look at the fence as it currently, you know, is out there, so they can get a better idea of the job if they haven't visited the site.
Mr. Chairman, I think that that's probably an important part of a complex bid like this. It does have its complexities because of the style of the fence and the way it's put together. And as Debbie has mentioned, everybody would then have the same answers, be on the same playing field, and understand what was going to be required in order to do the project. And that way they all have a chance, and there's no question later on that something got missed or the question wasn't asked. Each one, particularly if there is some questions, they'll all have the answers to the same. And be able to structure their bids that way.
Okay, so we need to,
Well,
we need
if
to reject, we
we
need to
could defer
reject.
to authorize maybe Bill to set up that date. It was not a joint meeting. We had a representative of the cemetery board there, and, you know, I was there. Just, if we could just defer to maybe have Bill look at his calendar and get back to us, and we'll have, he and I and Doreen will have a meeting and just finalize these dates,
Sound good, Bill?
That sounds good.
if that's okay.
But we need to vote, the Board of
One
Selectmen to
selectman
reject.
needs to vote to
Do we
reject
need-
all bids and to
Should we
reissue
do
the
that
bid.
in joint session?
You can do that in joint session.
Do I have a motion from the board?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, roll call vote.
Aye, Joseph Perry.
I.G. Roddenberry.
I, Stu Delzo.
Aye, Robert Snow.
I, Bill Gammon.
I, Jack
Okay.
We had already taken that vote last Thursday with our board too, so I mean, we're on the same page,
Sure.
you know, so I think it's good that, well, you know, we want to make sure everything, this is a project, and the age of what's going on and restoring is a big word.
Well, I think it's good, Jack, because if they're all together and one vendor asks a question or wants to an answer to it, then they all hear the answer. If you don't have that pre-bid meeting, then a vendor has a question, he makes a phone call and he gets an answer. But it's not necessarily the same question that another vendor might ask
Right.
and gets a different answer. So at least if they're all in the same room all together, they all should understand that this is
No,
what's
it's
going to be
one.
what the town is looking for.
Right.
Right. Very important.
Any other discussion?
So, that's it.
Okay, let's vote to go out a joint meeting.
I'll make that motion, Jack.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Roll vote.
I, Joe Perry.
I, Robert Snow.
I, Robert Murray.
I, Stu Delzo.
I, Bill Gaynor.
I, Jack.
All right. Thank you. Bill, thanks for coming in. Jack, come on back. All right. It is 7:41. Let's move on to general business. Last general business number 7. Discuss fall town meeting. The Board of Selectmen needs to decide if there is a need to hold a fall special town meeting. The planning board is not at the point where they have drafted zoning bylaws amendments that would be ready for placement on a fall town meeting warrant. The planning board should have articles ready for the spring town meeting. Based on that, Chairman Robert Snow feels that there is no need at this point to consider holding a fall town meeting. We should be focusing on the spring town meeting. Gentlemen, discussion? Comments?
I agree, if there's nothing pressing, why spend the money?
I agree.
Agree.
Yeah, it does, unless we had something really that needed to get done, it's very prudent not to spend. It does cost several thousands of dollars to put together and actually run a town meeting.
I've been in touch with both the planning board and CPC, and they're really not ready
Everything
for
ready.
anything.
Okay.
Have anything ready for the fall.
Actually, the zoning review committee is working on several changes, but I'm not sure that they're ready at this point to present it to a town meeting.
Okay.
And one of the questions that we had on that committee was whether there would be a fall town meeting. And so it'd be nice to know that either one way or the other, and then we can plan our meetings accordingly.
And plus, it's a hectic time coming into this fall. In November, we get the national election,
Yeah.
and then the week after the national election is Veterans Day. So that would be that Monday night, so we would have one then. I mean, and plus, again, there's nothing
Okay.
to put on the agenda for a fall meeting. It would be a waste of money. So we didn't need to vote on that, do we?
No.
We just sidestep the issue. So it's on until the spring. Okay. Okay, minutes, August 13th, 2012. Has everyone read the minutes for August the 13th, 2012?
Yes.
Yes.
Any comments?
I'll be in touch.
Any discussion? Okay, do I have a motion from the board to accept the minutes for August the 13th, 2012?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Okay. Move on to, what did I do with, I'm losing paperwork again. Oh, there we go. Well, I'll go, wait on that because we're in appointment.
Well, that is, yeah, that's, well, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
police
yeah,
chief appointment.
yeah.
Okay.
So 7:45.
So if we can get Bob to walk up very slowly.
Very
to the
slowly.
front chair, we'll be right
You
on
can take
time.
30 seconds to get to your chair, we'll be right on time.
Good move, Bob.
Thanks, Chief.
I was also saying I move slowly these days anyways.
Yeah, me too. 7:45 appointment, Police Chief Barker to discuss the new new police department radios. Chief Barker has purchased all Motorola equipment, follows 26 portables, and new cases, portable charger, 7 mobiles, and repeater. So with that, it is now 7:45, Chief, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us all about the new radios, because we've been discussing this one for the last year and a half.
I know it. I know it. This is a happy time for me to be able to come before the board and say, we've got the money, we spent the money, we got the goods, and I'm here to report on how they're working. I brought a portable with me, actually, so we can have a little demonstration. But as you know, in the special town meeting, we put in about $73,500 to purchase a new emergency radio system for the police department. And the reason for that was some FCC regulations, plus the old equipment was going on 20 years old. So that being said, we went and we got bids, and we went with Motorola product, which we had previously, and had obviously very good luck with it, because anything that can last 20 years is doing something these days. So and Motorola happens to be on a state bid, so we didn't have to go out for RFPs or anything like that. So it made it very convenient. Shortly after the money was allocated, we ordered the equipment, and it came in within 2 months. And over the course of the summer, we've been installing it piece at a time, starting with we started with mobiles in the cruisers. As said, we bought 7 new mobiles. These are Motorola XLS 2500. They're multi-channel, they're digital capable, they're analog capable, they're narrowband capable. They do a lot of things. One of the things that these new radios have that we haven't been able to avail ourselves before is also user ID. So when you key up a radio, other people with display screens can know who they're talking to. So, for example, if you have an emergency and you just key your radio up, they'll know which unit it is right away. So that's kind of a nice feature that we didn't have before. The mobile radios, we have 6 cruisers, so you're wondering, well, why do we need 7? Well, essentially, the dispatch console uses a mobile radio. Most areas do, and they put a 12-volt converter on it, and they just run it just like a car. And we already had one brand new radio that we purchased last year in a cruiser purchase. So that radio made actually 8 mobiles. We added a second one because one of the features we never had before was we have 2 answering positions in dispatch, but we had one radio to split between the 2 of them. So to have complete duplicity, we purchased a second radio, so that both areas can work independently of each other. The other beauty of that is these are all, like I said, mobile radios. They're programmed alike. All 8 of them are programmed alike. So if we have a catastrophic failure in a cruiser radio, it's simple for the radio guy to come in, snatch one out of the dispatch console, plug it into the cruiser, and off we go until we can get the radio fixed. Included in the project was also what we call a repeater. In the old days, when you talked on the radio, it was line of sight, big long antennas, and if you could see someone, you could talk to them. If you couldn't see someone, well, maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. Nowadays, we have repeaters, and what it does is it takes a signal from you, and it transmits it to the highest point in town, and it repeats that signal back out to all the other units at much higher wattage. Portables at 4 or 5 watts. A repeater is, I think it's 100 watts. So it blasts it out so everybody can hear it. We had a repeater before, but this is a newer, more modern repeater, and this repeater will work it'll work in digital mode and analog mode. And it actually works in what they call a mixed mode. We're still experimenting with this, but apparently what I'm told is if you have a digital channel, you can talk on digital, but those people who have analog radios will still be able to hear what's going on if it's in mixed mode. If you're pure digital, then you have to have a digital radio. To back up for a minute, digital radio versus analog radio, the best analogy I can use is you all remember the big cell phones you had that came in bags and big suitcases. Those are all analog, and as you got in the fringe areas, the voices could fade in and out. Well, with digital, everybody's cell phone now is digital, and you get a much clearer signal, and it's either on or it's off. So how that generally works is you get a little bit better coverage. Once you get to the area where it can't possibly receive anymore, it shuts it right off. But at least you're not having that situation where, well, did they hear me? Didn't they hear me? Did they hear this part? Didn't they? You know right away that you didn't get heard. So that's nice. And this repeater has helped us in that process. So that was the second thing we did, was we put the repeaters on. We didn't put the portables in service because of a programming issue. To make a long story short, we thought the programming was going to work one way. It didn't exactly work that way, so we had to change the way we implemented. So the portables had to go in last, and that was when the repeater went up at the beginning of this month. We issued the portables right away. The first thing that happened was Officer John Raffi took his newly issued portable and he went to one of the worst places we could talk in town, or couldn't talk in town, was the basement of Millwood. He turned on his portable and he talked to us on analog, and it was the signal strength was a 4.5 out of 5.
Wow.
Then he went to digital and it was just like he was in the next room. It was crystal clear. So we've absolutely achieved much better communications. Certainly the equipment's more reliable. We won't have the failures. These portables, very similar to the old portable. If you took the two side by side, they'd be a very similar size. It's the same model, it's just 20 years newer. We had such good luck with them that I have every hope that we'll have the same luck with these.
And one of the other problems, we talked about before, technology changes every 18 months.
Absolutely.
And then plus, when it comes to parts and everything else, when we went through with the last radios, it's really what after about 5 or 7 years, parts start to disappear.
Motorola's pretty good. They keep their parts a little longer, but in this case, you're absolutely right. The portables that malfunctioned were tossed right in a dumpster because there was nothing salvageable on them. I have a big box in my office for the old ones we collected. We'll keep them because there's batteries in them, and there's antennas and speaker mics that we might be able to salvage. But for the most part, if the radio doesn't work right now, Motorola won't fix it. They don't have the parts.
Well, that's great news that any place in town,
Yeah.
we can hear.
We have better coverage. I won't say any place. We haven't tested every place yet,
Okay.
but we certainly have expanded coverage.
Well, from what I heard about, you told me before about Millwood down in the basement, that was the worst place.
That was one of the worst places, yeah, and that's an area where we're apt to need to communicate because there's a lot of people living there and things happen,
Yep.
medicals and things like that. So it's good for us to have communications in that area. So we're very pleased with that. This particular portable here, I'll pass it around in a minute, but this has 3 banks of frequencies. Each bank holds 16 channels. So that's a lot of channels. We don't have it completely full, but any place you can think of on the North Shore that's on this, what they call T-band communication, is programmed in this radio.
Oh, wow.
We also have the capability of going on the NEMLEC channels, or the Baypern channels, which gives us pretty much eastern seaboard wide in Massachusetts. There's area-wide channels for several of the different areas, and we have what they call North Baypern, which what we use up here. It covers all the way from I think Linfield all the way to New Hampshire and out as far as maybe Lawrence and any towns on Baypern, and most of us are. We can communicate directly with those towns just by changing to that frequency. We use this, for example, if we're looking for a suspect, rather than the old way, we used to send out a teletype. Took a little time. Everybody had to read it. Then they had to broadcast it out. Every town had to broadcast it out. And if you listen to the scanner, you'd hear one town after another. From Rowley, this. Now we change to Baypern. We go out once, and everybody gets it all at once. The same information is received all at the same time. So
What a difference.
that makes a big difference. Another thing that we've added with this, the digital capability adds the ability to have digital voice protection as well. So if we have sensitive transmissions, if we're doing stakeouts or something like that, we can use a digital channel and we can activate a digital voice protection. And I believe it's 256-bit encryption. Whatever it is, no one's going to be able to break it.
Nobody's going to break that.
If you don't have one of our portables, you're just not going to hear what's going on. It sounds like white noise. So I know it sounds like whiz-bang technology, but you know what? For $73,000, we did a pretty good job. We got a lot of technology for short money, and we're still fooling around with a few of the options, you know, getting everything tweaked, but we're very, very happy.
I think everybody understands, especially since 9/11. I mean, you read the horror stories about down at 9/11.
Their communication went completely
communications
south.
failed completely, and you know nobody could hear. You know, they couldn't get the evacuation of the tower. And then, I mean, we never know what we're going to face in the future, but communications is critical for the police department and fire department.
Part of the reason for having all the different frequencies in here too is if Raleigh's repeater goes down, the unlikely event, we can hit Georgetown's repeater, we can hit Newbury's repeater, we can hit Ipswich's repeater, we can hit the Bayport repeater. So there's at least 5 options that we can go on someone else's frequency and get ourselves heard.
Wow.
What's the likelihood that all those stations are going to go down at once? Well, if they do, we've got a big problem. And
We're the last ones to come online on this, or there's still
no, there are other communities that haven't. That's one of the reasons we had to delay the implementation of the portables. It's a wide band versus narrow band thing, and we had everything programmed to narrow band because that's the gold standard, but some agencies haven't switched yet.
Okay.
And the FCC is now kind of waffling on their whole, well, I don't want to get into the politics of that, but
Hard to believe.
it has to do with an act passed in April by the president signed his middle class tax relief, and as a congressman attached a rider on there that essentially gave away the frequencies we're using in 9 years. So everybody's put the brakes on everything. So I'm not sure where it's going, but I'm happy to report that we're online and we're ready for 2012 and beyond. And most of the agencies, for example, the Bayport network I was talking about, the Nemlik network I'm talking about, they've already committed to coming online with the narrow banding. So we're in good position. These radios will decode wideband, so it's not a problem. As a matter of fact, that's what we had to do, was go back and reprogram them, some of the channels to wideband, because we were getting just a little distortion, not significant, but we didn't want to drive everybody crazy. So that's pretty much a synopsis.
That's good.
This is the portable. It's got a nickel metal hydride battery on it that actually has technology in the battery. So when we put it in the charger knows the serial number of that battery and when it was charged last and when it needs to be reconditioned.
Will it take for replacement too? Time to replace, or
You can swap batteries, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah, usually you recharge.
but whatever, it's not radio specific. It's battery
Very
specific.
rugged unit.
It's heavy.
Yeah, as a licensed TM, I'm glad to hear that we're FCC compliant.
Absolutely.
that's a heavy unit, isn't it?
It is. But you know what? It's mil spec, and it'll stand the wear and tear. I
a
mean,
good
these guys
rugged
use
unit.
these radios through all kinds of weather and conditions, and
You go back 15 years, 20 years. This radio will be about the size of this table.
I remember it well. We used to have a radio that we didn't have nightsticks, and we were thinking, well, we can always hold the radio by the antenna and club somebody with it.
It is heavy.
Yeah,
And in those days, Bob, you raise a good point. If I was on Haverhill Street on the other side of town, there was no point in me even taking the portable out of the cruiser because it wouldn't reach. The other radio was here in Town Hall, and it was a 42 megahertz band, and it just wouldn't reach, not on a portable. So.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about before, one of my first cell phone was a suitcase.
Yeah,
It was in the back seat of my car.
yeah.
And
they were expensive, too.
they were very expensive.
And they didn't work worth a darn.
No, they didn't.
It's only 22 years ago.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
when you talk about a radio like this, though, this is the lifeblood of a police officer. I mean,
Yeah.
they use this radio time and time again, all day long, every day. And you think about a cell phone. How old is your cell phone? Probably a year and a half, 2, maybe a little more. Some people are frugal, but most people's cell phones, every 2 years, they're in the dumpster somewhere. If if you can get 15 years out of a portable radio that's life and death, that's doing pretty good.
Well, I came to you about a year ago and I was very concerned about the radio situation.
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad
remember
that
that,
we have come through the town.
Me too,
I was
and,
very
we
concerned.
definitely dodged a bullet. We
Yep.
could have experienced some significant failures, and due to good maintenance, and I think we have a really good radio technology man. He works out of Groveland, and he's a private contractor, which he's done our work for 20 years, but he's done a real good job at keeping things up, and he's pretty reasonable too.
The money situation that we went through last year was really, we had to make some hard decisions, but now we're on board.
We're on board. We won't need to be coming to the town for radios for a while, and
Well, I think, the townspeople, when they hear this story, it's a good story to tell. Darn good story. It protects us all.
Yeah. You're there to protect us and we have to do our best to support you.
right. Well, communications is life-saving not only to us but to you as well. If you're
Absolutely.
suffering from a major medical, or if you had a bad accident and the cruiser can't reach the station to give them an update, they don't know what equipment to send. So it's good all the way around.
Sounds good. Any questions on the board?
What's the charge time? Say that's new, I mean.
It depends on how long you let it go down.
24
They
hours,
tell
you
me
can-
they tell me it'll hold a charge for up to 12 hours. Your cell phones, as you know, if you use your cell phone a lot, the battery
Yeah.
dies a lot quicker. Well, I think the same is true to this to some extent, but it's not as, because you can see the size of the battery here. It's not as volatile as a cell phone, but it does make a difference how much you use it.
On standby, it'll run a lot longer than
Oh, absolutely,
if you're
yeah.
actually transmitting with it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you're transmitting, that's what chews up the
Close the
juice.
time down.
And please use the radio all day long.
Right.
All day long. So 12 hours is darn good battery time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
These radios are also equipped with an emergency button. This little orange button on the top. If the officer pushes that, it automatically notifies the station that he's in an emergency status. It opens up the frequency so that the dispatch can hear what's going on. And at the dispatch console, it flashes an alarm that says, this unit is in trouble.
We need to try that and see if it works.
Awesome. That's great.
That's
think
one of the
that-
things we're
good
still
protection.
configuring.
I think that's one of the best features of that, what you told me about that. I mean, if an officer's, he is in trouble or she is in trouble, just to be able to push that button and then opens the frequency
Right.
to the station. I mean, that's a great feature.
That technology's been out there for some time.
It has, but we've never been able to avail ourselves of it.
Right, only
And
because
we
of
have it
cost.
now.
But I think probably this generation is more fail-proof.
Yes.
Because the older technology was fail-proof. If the officer happened to hit the button, the board got the signal, but they didn't know what was going on.
Right.
With this, you open up the frequency, they can hear what's going on. And so
One of the reasons we're having just a little more trouble getting that configured is because the radio consoles are older technology, and we don't need the radio console because the new radio head will decode it all itself. But they're fighting, and we're trying to figure out how to turn the old one off so the new one can take over. So we're still dealing with that. It's about 95% effective right now, and it'll be, as a matter of fact, Al's coming tomorrow to try and finish this off. But
Super.
Awesome. Yep. Very, very good.
yeah.
Good story to tell, Chief. Good story.
yeah, I'm very pleased,
Yeah.
and townspeople should be very
As a selectman, I'm very pleased we were able to do it.
yeah.
But to actually find the funding, I mean, it was nip and tuck there for a while.
I know.
It was going to be tight, but certainly we need to support our town departments.
Well, when you figure if they last 15 years, the old one's about 20 years old, just say 15 years, and you moralize at $73,000 over 15 years, it's not bad.
Yeah,
No.
it's not.
No,
Not at
very
all.
good point, Sue.
Yeah,
Very good.
not at all.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
look at it by the hour that they're operating, it's going to be a very small cost.
Yeah, and these portables have, I think it's an 18-month warranty on them. So the cost of, I mean, we spent very little money on these radios when they were new or in new condition. The last 4 or 5 years, yeah, we spent a lot more, but you're really pushing the envelope. But we won't have any maintenance costs with this to speak of for probably 5 years.
Good. Excellent.
Excellent.
Any other questions, comments? Chief?
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thanks for the
coming
good
in.
news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always
Good
nice to
story
come
to
in
tell.
with something good.
Yeah.
You know, too many problems seem to surface in this office, and it's nice to have something good to say.
Good story, Chief.
You do make us nervous when we get that on the agenda, though.
Chief, the last time you came in, when you told us that they weren't making Clone Vickies anymore, in the Stady bought some new ones that
Yes.
look like Explorers. I was talking to a Stady a week ago, and he said, so far, so good, he loves it.
Yeah, I was talking with one of the troopers last Thursday at a vehicle crash, and he said he's still getting used to it, but he's got no real complaints. So we've actually got one in the works for the fall. I don't want to change the subject, but we have cruiser problems with our only all-wheel drive vehicle. So rather than replace it later, we're going to have to replace it sooner. So we've kind of changed our plans.
Again, is that an Explorer or something in between?
It is called a police interceptor utility. They get upset with you, Ford gets upset if you call it an Explorer, because they say it is not an Explorer.
Okay.
As the same with the sedan, it looks a lot like a Taurus, but they tell us it is not a Taurus. So I'll have to defer to Ford on that, because
Right.
they made it, I didn't. So, but I'm told, and this, I believe this to be true, the sedan and the utility both use the same chassis.
Okay.
So they handle very, very much similar. The engines are in these new cars are V6s, as opposed to the current Crown Vics have a V8, 258 horsepower, about 12 miles to the gallon. The V6s develop 300 horsepower, and their fuel economy is 20% better than the V8. So this is another win-win for us.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive as opposed to straight rear-wheel drive. How can you go wrong? Technology just takes over. You can either lead or get out of the way.
That utility's pretty sharp.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to work out well.
That's the next story to tell.
Yep.
Okay. Chief, thanks for coming in.
Okay.
Good story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. That was a good story.
Yes. Now we want to talk to Frank.
Frank, come on up.
I was waiting to talk to Frank.
Okay, new business, Health Department update on mosquito virus concerns in the region. And as many of you at home received on Friday afternoon, there was a reverse, Thursday was it?
Thursday.
Oh, it was Thursday. The time flies. You know. Thursday, we had a reverse 911 and we updated everybody. So I'm just going to go through this and read this. The State Department of Public Health contacted the town administrator on Thursday afternoon with news that the town had been placed in a critical category for Eastern equine encephalitis virus. A reverse 911 message was sent out to the townspeople shortly after. A horse in Georgetown contracted Triple E. The State Department of Public Health believes that the threat of a mosquito-borne illness is widespread. According to the State Public Health, the Triple E has been found in the following Essex County municipalities: Georgetown, Hamilton, Haverhill, Linfield, Peabody, Topsfield. The West Nile virus has been found in the following Essex County communities: Andover, Methuen, Nahant, Newbury, Newburyport, Saugus, Topsfield. Attached is a news release issued by the State Department of Public Health on Thursday, August 23rd, and Raleigh Board of Health Mosquito Protection Notice. Coordinator of Health Services, Frank Mangiani, and Board of Health Chairman Charles Costello will be, well, You're here, Frank. That's the, okay. And I'll read the update from the state health officials announced a second human case of West Nile virus in Middlesex County, raised West Nile virus threat level in Cambridge. Boston, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, DPH, today announced that a second human case of West Nile virus has been confirmed in Middlesex County. The patient, a Cambridge man in his 70s, is currently hospitalized. The first case of West Nile virus this year was confirmed in another Middlesex County resident on August 15th. In addition to elevated threat level in Cambridge, the nearby communities of Arlington, Belmont, Boston, Brookline, Somerville, Watertown have been raised to high West Nile virus threat. Today's announcement is compelling, indicated that the threat of mosquito-borne illness is widespread and people should continue taking simple, common sense steps to protect themselves and their families against mosquito bites, said DPH Commissioner John Auerbach. Use insect repellent, cover exposed skin, and avoid outdoor activities at dusk and nightfall when mosquitoes are the most active. Both Middlesex County cases have been identified as Cambridge residents, said Claude Jacob, the city's public health officer, director of Cambridge Public Health Department. Our department has been working with the city and community partners to inform residents about the increased risk of West Nile virus this summer. We're also working with Eastern Middlesex Mosquito Control Project and the city departments to reduce mosquito breeding grounds. Health officials also announced today that a diagnosis of equine encephalitis has been confirmed in a horse stabled in Georgetown and an alpaca stable in Halifax. As a result, the triple E threat level has been raised to critical in Georgetown and high in nearby communities of Boxford, Groveland, Newbury, Rowley, and West Newbury. The triple E threat level has been raised to critical in Halifax and high in the neighboring East Bridgewater, Hanson, Pembroke, Plymouth. Consistent with triple E threat guidelines, DPH strongly recommends that evening outdoor events are curtailed in all these communities for the remainder of mosquito season. West Nile virus infected mosquitoes have been found in 67 communities from nine counties so far during 2012. There were 6 cases of West Nile virus in Massachusetts residents and 1 in a horse last year. West Nile virus can infect people of all ages. People over the age of 50 are at high risk for severe disease. West Nile virus is usually transmitted to humans through the bite of an infected mosquito. Most people infected with West Nile virus will have no symptoms. When present, West Nile virus symptoms tend to include fever and flu-like illness. In rare cases, more severe illness can occur. There were 2 cases of equine encephalitis in August of last year acquired in Massachusetts, including a fatal case in Bristol County man. Triple E activity in both 2010 and 2011 raised public concern and prompted DPH to work with a panel of experts to elevate and enhance the state's surveillance and response program. Triple E is spread to humans through the bite of an infected mosquito. Triple E is a serious disease in all ages and can even cause death. People have an important role to play in protecting themselves and their loved ones from illnesses caused by mosquitoes. Avoid mosquito bites. Apply insect repellent when outdoors. Use a repellent with DEET. I'm not going to pronounce this chemical. Okay. Oil of lemon, eucalyptus, methane 3,8-diol PMD or IR 3535 according to instructions on the product label. DEET products should not be used on infants under 2 months of age and should be used in concentrations of 30% or less in older children. Oil of lemon eucalyptus should not be used on children under the age of 3 years of age. Be aware of peak mosquito hours. The hours from dusk to dawn are peak biting times for many mosquitoes. Consider rescheduling outdoor activities that occur during evening or early morning. Clothing can help reduce mosquito bites. Wearing long-sleeve shirts, long pants, and socks when outdoors will help keep mosquitoes away from your skin. Mosquito-proof your home. Drain standing water. Mosquito lay their eggs in standing water. Limit the number of places around your home for mosquitoes to breed by either draining or discarding items that hold water. Check rain gutters and drains. Empty any unused flower pots or wading pools, and change water in bird baths frequently. Install a repair screens. Keep mosquitoes outside of having tightly fitting screens on all of your windows and doors. West Nile virus and EEE threats levels raised. Protect your animals. Animal owners should reduce potential mosquito breeding sites on their property by eliminating standing water from containers such as buckets, tires, wading pools, especially after heavy rains. Well, it goes on and on. It's just talking about EEE and that. I want to take all your thunders. Okay? Keep on reading. But we in Raleigh, I think we really know mosquitoes pretty well here. But it is very I'm very concerned, and I think we wanted to put that. We talked on Thursday afternoon, and we wanted to get that out to the public and understand that EEE is nothing to mess with, and we needed that alert out to the public and for people to understand the seriousness, especially of these two, because before we've had issues, but they've always been on the South Shore, correct?
Correct. Right.
And we really haven't had it up here.
No, this is the first year where it's been in this area.
And as I understand it, now EEE in horses is always fatal, correct?
Usually, yes.
Yeah, so that's the reason that they put that horse down over in
Yeah, they did
Georgetown.
euthanize the horse, yes.
Okay, and then West Nile, we don't know, but are people over 50 and children, it's a serious disease. And then again, EEE is nothing to mess with. So with that, Frank, I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, actually, you touched on a lot of the points that like you had said. This has been a really difficult year, as you know, for two reasons. The viruses started showing up very early this year. Normally, they don't start showing up till late August, early September. This year, we were seeing them early August, which gave us an indication it was going to be a long, long year, and sure enough, it has been. And also, like you had mentioned, this is the first time in this district that EEE has shown up. So, again, it's another new chapter here that mosquito control is trying to deal with, along with the state and the towns, to figure out what's the best way to handle it. So far this year, the mosquito surveillance traps in Raleigh have not shown any mosquitoes containing West Nile virus or EEE as of last Friday, but that could change, as we all know, from week to week. As you said earlier, they did find a horse in Georgetown that was infected with EEE. That raised our alert status to high because we are a bordering surrounding town, which we all discussed about doing the reverse 911 call, which we did. And, just to let people know that be careful, it's in the area, use precautions, try to limit outdoor activities, or if you are going to be outdoors, use protection. So basically, we're following any and all recommendations from mosquito control. They did recommend, well, as we always do throughout the season, continue to do barrier applications around the ball fields, all of them in town and the school, which are scheduled for this week. Actually, they were supposed to be done tonight, but now we have some weather issues with rain coming in, so they're watching that closely to see when's the best day to do it. If they do it on a day before it rains, the rain will just, unfortunately, take anything away that they did. So they're watching the weather, but it will be done this week again before school starts, and as the fall activities are going on in the ball fields as well.
Yeah, based on the weather forecast, we should have a few days of sunlight so that we won't have any.
Oh yeah, they pretty confident they'll definitely be able to get in this week. It's just trying to pin it when it'll be the best, most effective. So I'm still waiting to hear if they were able to do it tonight or if they chose to wait another day or two on that. Because of all these viruses show up, they did recommend some targeted spraying around town, which we have done. When they did find West Nile and Newbury, we did a target application around that area. And also this past Friday, there was another positive Tripoli mosquito in the one of the Topsfield traps, similar to one that happened a couple weeks ago. So they did suggest doing some targeted spraying around that area on the lower end of Raleigh, where Ipswich and Boxford come together there, which is within a couple miles so radius. So they were watching that one very closely. And also keeping an eye on the surveillance traps around Georgetown and Raleigh border. Weren't too concerned at this point yet. There's something they're going to look at this week as well. But they wanted to focus on the Topsfield area of town, that portion, because it was a little more serious. Let's see. They also did recommend doing some spraying along the 1A stretch going east to get a little control over the salt marsh mosquitoes. Those mosquitoes don't normally carry virus, but there's so many of them this year. The surveillance traps have been showing large numbers of them, so they did recommend when they have the equipment available and personnel to do a little bit, spraying down there to help keep them in check as well. Let's see here. Yeah, like I said, they are watching the Georgetown situation very carefully. Whenever there's virus found around in surrounding towns around the area, they move the surveillance traps around to strategically pinpoint them where they feel they can monitor them the best. And these surveillance traps not only monitor the mosquitoes that carry the virus, but they also monitor the species of the mosquitoes that are being caught in these traps. So if they see species that don't normally carry the viruses, they're not as concerned as the ones that they find that do carry virus. We had a case a few years ago, I think now, that we didn't find any virus in Raleigh. However, mosquito control was finding elevated numbers of these mosquitoes that carry West Nile virus all over town. So at that point, they recommended a town-wide spray, and even though there was no virus found, but just as a precautionary measure.
And that really comes, when it comes to spraying the town, that comes from the state, correct?
An aerial application, yes.
Aerial application.
Yeah, that would be determined by the state, depending on how much virus was found. The South Shore was a much worse situation, and they were finding multiple samples in quite a few areas, so a decision was made very quickly to do some aerial spraying there.
I know, and I talked to you on Thursday, you talked to him a couple of times.
Yeah, on Friday I must talk to him about 3 times.
That's right.
Today you talked to mosquito control 3 times on 3 different issues, so we're in communication on a daily basis. I mean, it's almost becoming hourly now as things happen. Because as the season progresses, more and more surveillance traps are put out, and they just continue to monitor what's going on and then making any recommendations as they find things. Because the Department of Public Health has their own traps, as well as Northeast Mosquito Control has their traps out. So they work together, like you said, strategically placing the traps to kind of blanket as much of the area as they possibly can.
Is there any thought from them why all of a sudden it seems to be an elevation in West Nile and
not really. Couldn't really. West Nile we've been endemic in town for quite a while, so they weren't surprised. They were expecting that to show up in this whole area. But Tripoli took everyone a little bit by surprise, especially in this area. No real explanation on why.
It's not because we're spraying a lot less than we used to?
No.
Because I remember we've been here 42 years, and I remember the trucks coming by and spraying frequently in town, and we're not getting anywhere near the spray that we used to.
Right. No. Now they try to focus on larviciding more than adulticiding now with mosquito control, and they're very cautious about not overspraying because the mosquitoes can build up a resistance to the chemicals that they use, and then when there comes a time where we need those chemicals to combat a virus, it won't work, and then we have some serious problems.
Kind of like antibiotics with humans.
Yeah. There's only about 3 or so pesticides that they can use, and they rotate them around, and they use different ones for different species of mosquitoes.
Okay.
So it's a very delicate balance that they have to maintain. And with the target applications, they try to, mosquitoes tend to be in a 1 mile radius, so they try to really pinpoint where the problems are and focus on those areas.
I was, we've had such a dry year.
Yeah.
You would think that we wouldn't have the mosquito problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it was surprising to everybody, actually. Yeah. So as of right now, we're continuing to try to alert people the best we can to, use precautions, try to limit your outdoor activities in the evening if you can, and just keep monitoring things as we go along.
Let everybody know at home that, again, Frank, you're in contact with Department of Public Health 2, 3, or at least 3 times a day, sometimes more.
Yeah.
So anything pops up,
yeah,
and we need to get another reverse 911, we will get it out there ASAP.
Yeah.
So.
Deb, is there something that people can do if they, for whatever reason, didn't receive a 911 call on Thursday? Is there the phone number they could call to maybe get their number entered into the system, or?
Yeah, they go to the homepage of the town's website, and we have click on the Blackboard Connect icon, and they can enter in if they've changed their cell number or have a new home phone number. They can put their email address in, a work phone. That's how you have the ability, person can do that.
Right, we want to remind people that are out there tonight that if for some reason you didn't receive that phone call that we sent out Thursday, that maybe we should go to our website and check on that and try to make sure that you've got the right number in there, and if something hasn't changed, so that we can notify you, so that everybody gets the notification.
That is on the main webpage.
It's on the homepage.
On the main homepage, Town of Raleigh.
It's Blackboard Connect.
Blackboard.
Yeah, it's a very simple process. I've done it myself.
So if you have a cell phone, you don't have a landline, or you need to be contacted by email, you can go on to, again, the homepage and then go to Blackboard Connect. So I just want to repeat that because just so everybody understands the process, to make sure that if you want to be notified, then you should be notified. You should be notified. So get your cell phone in there, or your email address, or your landline should be in there already. That should be.
Unless it's been changed.
Unless your number's been changed.
Or if it's an unlisted number as well.
Excuse me?
Or if it's unlisted as well.
Yes.
You will need to call.
Carry unpublished.
Unpublished, I should say, yes.
So, any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, comments?
No, other than Frank, thank you so much for bringing us this update, and certainly makes me feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that you're out there and following us as closely as you are, and keeping us informed.
We put something on the cable.
Thank you for all the calls over the last couple of days.
Oh, no problem. It's
okay.
It changes so often that from 1 hour to the next, things change so quickly. But because there's so many people, different agencies, and
Frank didn't
things
want
going on.
Frank didn't want to bother me. I said, Frank, don't bother me. Just give me a call.
Thank you, Frank.
Frank, thank you so much.
Yes.
For the update. Okay.
Good for
Thank
us,
you.
we'll take care of that.
Frank, thanks for
problem.
coming in. Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
First frost, we'll take care of that problem.
Can't come too soon.
Yes. Well,
Well, not too
I miss the summer.
Right.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good update.
Yes. Very important.
Okay, new business number 2, dedication, September 11, 2001 memorial on September 8th, and that would be Saturday, okay, a dedication of a September 11, 2001 memorial on September 8th, that's Saturday, September 8th, 2012. The dedication of expanded September 11, 2001 memorial is scheduled for 1 p.m. on Saturday, September 8th. A piece of steel from the World Trade Center has been incorporated into the memorial. The memorial was originally dedicated in 2002. in memory of 3 Raleigh residents who lost their lives in this tragedy. The public is invited to attend this dedication ceremony. The ceremony will be approximately 1 hour. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote to close the following intersections: Pleasant Street at School Street, Cross Street at Jellison Street, and Cross Street at Central Street to general traffic, but to allow residents to pass through. Fire Chief Roderick has contacted Chief Barker about having police cruisers located near these intersections. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote to send a letter to the residents in the general area informing them of the event and to close the road closures.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to send a letter to the general area of Pleasant and Cross Streets to notify the residents of the ceremony that will be held September 8th at 1 p.m.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Again, we invite you on Saturday, September 8th at 1 p.m.
Week from
Week.
next Saturday.
We have to vote to close the streets though, right?
We voted to send the letter.
Send the letter.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, we need to also.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close the following streets? Pleasant Street at School Street, Cross Street at Jellison Street, and Cross Street at Central Street. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Just
Thanks,
to make
Joe.
1 o'clock Saturday.
1 o'clock Saturday, September the 8th. Again,
Week from
you're all
Saturday.
week from Saturday. You're all invited to come down to this event. Bob, you can tell us a little bit about it.
Basically, we're putting a second monument there. It will be in behind the present monument. Our intent is to be able to display the World Trade Center steel that we acquired from the Fire Department of New York City. And in dedication to the members of our town that we lost during that tragedy. And it'll be the dedication of that particular monument in conjunction with the one that's already there. We will have some state speakers there. Representative Tarr has indicated that he will be there. Our esteemed chairman of the Board of Selectmen will be there. Good. And we're still expecting maybe some more response, and there will be some citations and things that'll be sent to us from officials that can't make it. We've already got some of those notices back. I think this is a great thing for the town of Raleigh. I think we need to remember these people. We involved the school department with this project, in that we had the 5th and 6th graders write a poem, and one of those students won that contest, and there will be a poem attached to the monument also, this particular poem. We're hoping that she's available to actually read her poem.
Oh, good.
It was a young lady that got it, and it'll be there. It'll be attached along with the steel to the monument. And actually, the monument itself is a piece of granite that was salvaged from the Dodge Road Bridge repair project. And we know that that facility that was there, the mill that was there, that had this culvert that went under the road, and during the 1775-76 time, during the Revolution, was making sabers and spears. So this piece of granite goes back to the mid-1700s.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And we were lucky enough to be able to salvage it. It was actually at the perfect size for what we wanted to be able to put there. A lot of the other pieces were huge. It was bigger than these tables. But we really didn't want to overpower the existing monument with the names on it. So when you approach this, you will see that first, and then in behind it, and it just above it will be this other piece.
And the significance of Pleasant Street.
Significance of Pleasant Street is that the Trentinis lived there for a number of years, and in sight of the monument that's going to be there. So, and it was piece of property that was available to the town to be able to put a monument on. So it kind of worked out very well that way. There was that piece there, and it was significant to Pleasant Street because of the Trentinis.
And Laurie Olson, who grew up in Raleigh.
Yes, Laurie was there. I think they lived on Central Street, I think, when they were growing up as
Yep.
kids. So, and that's not that far away either.
No.
So,
And it's hard to believe, but I mean, for a small town like 5,800 people, 3 people were on that plane that morning on the same flight, Flight 11, that flew into the first tower. I mean, it's this has great meaning to our town, and we will always be tied to that terrible tragedy and that terrible day.
right.
And again, we invite everybody to come out to remember these 3 people, and to remember that day.
And to remember the day and the 3,000 plus people that were actually killed because of it. Our main goal is to try to keep this so that it's not forgotten.
Yeah.
And to that end, we will be publishing all of the poems that were written by the school children, along with the winning poem. And the winning poem will be on the monument. But we're going to set up hopefully at the library, we're working on that, a display with the things that we've done and documented what we're doing with this particular monument. And the flag that's been covering the steel. Every time the steel has been moved, and we did it a couple of times to take it to the school to show the students there. This flag has covered that. When we went to New York and picked up the piece of steel from the New York Fire Department, this flag covered that steel on its way home. And every time it's been moved, this particular flag that we're going to save has been with it. So it's really kind of a moving thing when you look at it. And actually what we actually have for a piece of steel is a piece of angle-iron, not angle-iron, but I-beam, piece of I-beam that the cord has been cut out of, so that when we mount it on the stone, the cord goes up the center. So when you stand back and look at it, if you want to kind of, even the camera could go to the file cabinet in the back of the room, you get this one line up the middle and then 2 rectangular pieces coming down.
Wow.
So you can almost see the 2 World Trade Centers standing there with this when it's on there, and it's the proportions are such that it looks like they're just standing there. So
Yeah, this is again. This is.
Sometimes I lose my thought and the words just thinking about it, because it's really something.
Again, 3 people
Yeah.
mark small little community.
Yeah, and they were part of the community. Both Jim and Mary were residents. Mary worked at Triton. Jim was on the Light Department Board of Commissioners for a number of years, and participated in town sports, and they were just good people that were Raleigh residents and really loved the town. And the Olsons were the same. The Olson family grew up in Raleigh. All of the children grew up in Raleigh.
And they were going out to, as I remember the story, they were going out to visit family.
Mary and Jim were going out to visit their grandchildren.
Yeah.
They were in California. They'd been planning for it, and actually Mary talked to them the night before they left. The ironic part of the whole thing, and to give you an idea of Jim's loyalty to the country and to the state and to the town, they were both scheduled. They had their flight on the 10th, September 10th. But Jim got notice for jury duty, and he changed his flight.
Wow.
Laurie was out here helping move her mother into an assisted living quarters. She had, at least one of her daughters was with her. She sent the daughter home early, and then she went home on the 11th. And obviously, we know what happened. So circumstances and coincidences, it's unbelievable.
And when they were sitting on the plane, they were only like 3 rows away from each other.
Actually, there was 1 row between them. There's a seating plan. If you go online, you can find it. And they were it was actually on the left side of the plane, just right at the very back of the wing. And then there was a row in between, and then Laura sat in the next row.
Yeah.
So I would hope that they recognize each other and at least had the chance to talk and you know, exchange pleasantries, because they were right there together on that day. So.
Again, I think it brings us all back to that fateful day.
Yeah.
And again, we invite you all to come to the ceremony on Saturday, September 8th at 1 p.m. Any other comments from the board? All right, thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Okay, last announcements. Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. The Raleigh Food Pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. I talked to the people at the food pantry, and they said they were talking about some canned fruits, but also they could use some paper goods, so some tissues and things like that, and I think maybe toilet paper, things like paper products. Okay, so if you could do that, you could drop them off at the library, or you could drop them again off at the food pantry, which is what we're located right over here by the parsonage, by the Baptist Church, the rear of the parsonage. And again, it's the Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donation. It's open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion. Adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good Labor Day, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night now.